Hey everybody, it's Joe DeGanzik, and this is Smarter Home Life. The Q&As are back. I have been doing a lot of things. I'll just say that. I've been doing a lot of different things, and unfortunately have not had as much time to produce video content for Smarter Home Life as I would have liked over the past about 2 months or so. And I'll be able to talk a little bit more about that publicly coming soon. But anyways, actually, if you're one of our wonderful Patreon supporters, you probably already know about it because the Patreon supporters get the news first. Q&A videos, the best way to get your question featured on one of these videos, even though I do answer all of them. Sometimes I'm sorry I don't get back to them just as quickly as I want to. Questions at smarterhomelife.com is the best way to directly reach me. I do answer the comments on the YouTube videos, and I do get back to everyone's replies and posts across social media, but the YouTube comment system is so challenging to use and to moderate, not on a daily basis, but generally when I go back to compile these things, it makes it difficult. So at this point, I'm only putting questions on the show specifically from the email. So questions at smarterhomelife.com. Usually I split these between smart home stuff and LED lighting. Haven't had a lot of LED lighting products to review lately just because it just hasn't been as much of a priority, even though I really want it to, but again, just things change. But subscribe to Patreon and you'll find out all the whys and stuff like that. First off, I don't want to keep harking on that topic, but anyways, these two these two lamps from Cree just went into a review and a kind of a news bit on smarterhomelife.com, where a lot of content is actually continuing to land instead of making it for the YouTube channel, because I can create written content for the website faster and more time efficiently than I can for the YouTube channel. So these are two high output, high lumen a BR30 and an R20. This is a 75 watt equivalent, so really a lot of light in this little guy. And this is, I believe, a 100 watt equivalent. You can go to the article and check it out right now. Thanks to Cree for sending these my way. Some of these questions will involve HomeKit. I know some of you are tired of hearing about it. Right now, since about August till about October, we're just in that season, and I've got to get through these either reviews or questions or so forth. I know some of you have even dropped your pledges on Patreon because of it. And if that, I'm sorry to see you go. I have to cover this stuff because it's the nature of the beast. And once we get past the end of this month, HomeKit will definitely die down. So that is that. So thanks to Todd, I'm just going to say S for emailing in. He says, hello, I really enjoy your YouTube channel. Thanks very much. I enjoy making the videos when I have time these days. I'm a longtime fan of home automation. Many years ago, I started with X10. So did I. I then moved on to Insteon. So did I. My control software for Insteon was Indigo. I'm still on Indigo. Well, this year, iDevices finally released their wall switch, and I jumped onto the HomeKit fray, or the bandwagon. iDevices definitely makes some good products that are not just HomeKit compatible. They are also compatible with Lady A and the Google Assistant. That's Alexa from Amazon, if you don't know what I'm talking about with Lady A. I am physically disabled, paralyzed from the neck down. I have no use of my arms or legs. We actually talked a little bit about this. I thought this was an interesting email because the collaboration video I did with Mike Manser from California, when we talked about his experience with the new HomeKit bridge for the MyQ Chamberlain garage door openers, we talked about that because he is also disabled, and how home automation really does help people, and it's not just a whiz-bang techie thing. It's for people who are physically disabled. It's a lifesaver. It helps them get things done throughout the day. So check that video out, but I'll continue with Todd's email here. Let's see. I operate my iMac using voice recognition. Apple's definitely been great about accessibility for making their products really able to be used by everyone. When I was using Insteon modules, I created events and schedules on my Mac by voice using Indigo. Now I'm not aware of any Mac software for HomeKit, and you're correct. For whatever reason, HomeKit continues to be essentially left out of Mac OS. Let's see. So I've been using the Home app. I've been using the Home app, Apple's Home, iDevices, and so forth and so on to configure his HomeKit devices. One thing that I haven't been able to figure out is how to schedule my wall switch to turn on 5 minutes before sunset and 5 minutes and 5 minutes after sunrise. Can you tell me if this is possible? It can't be done with a third-party home or devices app. And realize this again was from August. That's what the month I'm covering these questions for, which was before iOS 11 came out. So Todd, you're in luck because Apple added that exact feature. Now, the reason why this is helpful is because occasionally, depending on where you are and shadows and so forth, and he's specifically talking about, he actually didn't mention if this was an outside light or an inside light, just a wall switch. But I even actually have this. I don't use HomeKit primarily here. I do use Indigo to manage everything, but it has some offsets that I've built in because sunset here isn't, if I have the automatic lighting shift happen at sunset, it's too dark. It's like dark in this room with my automatic daylight versus nighttime general lighting scene. So I understand it, depending on where you are, cloudy days, the position of your blinds and so forth. It can be necessary to change the offset in terms of not just changing lights at sunset or sunrise, but you may need to change that by a few minutes. Apple has finally built that into their home app, and it's also built in as a function in terms of HomeKit in general. So for the third-party apps, this works as well. So if I jump over here to my home app and I click over to the automations tab, I'll just make a new one just to demonstrate for you, Todd. And you may have already, because it's now October, you may have already solved this, but I'll do it for everyone else's benefit. So new automation, a time of day occurs. That's exactly what we want to talk about. So I'm going to say sunset, and then you get the little eye, you get the little info indicator that you can tap on to get a little bit more information. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't allow for increments under 15 minutes. However, I hate to say that it's better than nothing, and unfortunately you're stuck with what Apple gives you, at least in the Home app. So let's just say 15 minutes, I think he said before, but we'll just do that. So you do have the ability of a little bit more control. Obviously, time of day, you can pick exactly when you would want this to happen. However, that's not what you want. And if you go back, actually, if we went back and we did a different operation here, let's just say during the day, you see that you get these same options. Apple has simply defined it's going to be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes instead of 5, 10, 15, 20 on this in terms of restricting time. So this is a standard rule the way they have it. But to go back to what I had just done, time of day occurs, you go into sunset or sunrise, you hit the eye, and you get that offset. So that's very, very simple, very, very helpful. It doesn't... Todd, if it's helpful to you as 15 minutes instead of 5, that's great. Thank you, Todd, so much for your email, and I'm glad that you've been able to kind of move on and move forward throughout the time and with home automation. And let's move on to the next question. Okay, so the next question comes in from Henry Abrams. I can pronounce that last name a lot easier. And I'm going to shorten it down. He had some questions about getting started with home automation, and I kind of got that. It's tough to respond when I get questions that are more about, well, I don't really know what to do, tell me how to get started. Because as I go through in the getting started series, and we've had a little bit of a delay of getting that that series beyond just the first video, but the content is actually now planned and it should be in the next couple days into production. So you should see more of those videos coming out before the end of October. It's tough to just say, here's what you do without knowing your individual case. And I continue to do consulting sessions over video. So if you want to just get my time, at this point, the best way to do it is just shoot me an email and we can set it up. So questions@smarterhomelife.com, always the best way to get a hold of me. So he had one additional question that I did want to put on the show. Do you need a Philips Hue bridge with Philips Hue lights, or can you connect it straight to the SmartThings hub? Now, that being said, if you remember, I've done a number of experiments with Hue over the past couple of months. I've connected cross-connected some IKEA bulbs to the Philips Hue bridge. They've gone to SmartThings and so forth. And people over the years definitely have been able to cross-connect Philips Hue bulbs to SmartThings. And you can even do it to other hubs and other systems because the Hue bulbs are Zigbee, or they are a flavor of Zigbee. The challenge is, though, that these some of the Hue products don't have the ability to be reset or reset easily. So if you attach them, virtually wirelessly to something like SmartThings, sometimes it can be difficult to reset them and get them to pair correctly back with the Philips Hue bridge. But can it be done? Absolutely, yes. Is it 100% supported natively by SmartThings? No. SmartThings would rather have you connect through the Philips Hue bridge. And there's a couple of reasons for this. I get this question on a fairly regular basis, so I figured I would put this in the show. One reason for actually not going direct into the SmartThings or somewhere else and actually using the Philips Hue bridge is, number one, you do get some additional features when Philips decides to add more functionality, which they're doing now with the Philips Hue Entertainment. This was another article that you can check out on smarterhomelife.com. This was from last month. They're adding features, obviously, like the ability for their accessories to be HomeKit enabled. That just recently hit, and then Philips Hue Entertainment is going to be part of the bridge, and it'll connect to audio and to games and to video, and it'll do all this synchronization natively instead of using third-party apps. So you get those kind of features, and you also get potential security updates. If a vulnerability is found within Zigbee or the Zigbee implementation that's used by Philips in their bulbs, you will get that pushed out to you. I have to say, at least once a month, if not every 6 weeks or so, there's an update that's always waiting on the Philips Hue bridge when I happen to connect back to it via the Philips Hue app, and then it'll say, please leave your lights on, we've got some updates. So without connecting it directly to the Hue bridge, if it's just connected to SmartThings or another hub, you don't get those updates. So part of it's a little bit of a security thing and kind of just getting extra features and so forth. Part of it may be that you're going to rely on the community of SmartThings to have been building integrations themselves, which is not to mean that it's not going to work and it's not going to be great, but you're working with the community to contribute and to continue to upkeep that what's called officially as a device handler within Philips, within SmartThings, or you're going to rely on the actual Philips company, the Philips lighting division of Philips, to actually continue to improve the product and get it that way. So is it possible? Yes. Do I recommend it? Not necessarily. So you could say that, yes, I could save a little bit of money. You're saving about 50 or 60 bucks on a hub, but I think it's worth actually having the hub. However, and I'll say this, however, we've now seen where Amazon, which just introduced the new Echo Plus a couple of weeks ago, and it's shipping at the end of this month. I've actually already pre-ordered it because Amazon will not respond to me as getting a review unit. So I've pre-ordered it. It's supposed to be here at the end of the month, and I look forward to taking a look at it. They're shipping it, at least for the first set of orders that came in before, I think almost right about now. They were shipping it with a Philips Hue standard, just white, dimmable bulb, which means either Philips gave the okay to Amazon saying, yeah, go ahead and match these up, because again, you won't get those updates unless Amazon has done something specific with the Echo Plus to push updates via Zigbee to that bulb. So I don't know, but we'll find out more at the end of it. But if Amazon is going to push this concept of just connecting these products directly to the Echo Plus without needing a Hue bridge, that changes this entire game, and it changes my response. So we'll see what happens in November, basically. So thank you to Mr. Abrams, Henry Abrams. Thank you so much for your question. Okay, so the next question comes in from Rise. Is it Rise? Is it Rice? Ganell? And it's another HomeKit one. So again, lots of HomeKit questions, lots of HomeKit news. I'm liking your HomeKit videos. Thank you. Clear and well put together. I'm just starting my home up and started with the Elgato Eve door sensors. I've got one actually behind me. You can't see it, but you can check out the review video of it. Eventually, I'd like them to automate lights, etc. But for now, it's a basic security system, and that's exactly right. In fact, when I put mine on and started getting notifications from it, I'm like, I'm going to get to his question, but when you put in security for the first time and then you're away and you're like, I hope I don't get a notification because it means that someone just broke in. So anyways, it's a basic security system sending notifications to me when a door is opened, and that's exactly true. When it's opened or closed, it'll actually let you know what happened. Are you aware, again, remember this is from August before iOS 11, either in the current or in iOS 11, of a way to only get such notifications when I'm not at home? Thanks for your help and your videos. Thank you for writing in. Well, once again, it's time for a little demo here. They did put it into iOS 11. I don't know why it wasn't in earlier versions because it was really annoying. You either had the option to turn it on or turn it off. And if you're already at home, getting notifications, unless you're in a very large home, I live in this tiny place of 400 square feet, getting notifications when I'm already here doesn't make sense. Anyways, jump over to the Home app, long press. I'm going to long press on my Eve door sensor, but this can be done with any device within HomeKit that sends notifications. So I'm going to long press. It's closed. Obviously, the front door is closed at this point. Front door contact sensor state gives me, you know, some additional information in iOS 11, battery level, and so forth. I'm going to then go to status and notifications. It used to just be that you would get included in status, which is that kind of top line at the top of the Home app. Allow notifications used to just be on or off, and that was it. Now you have time, which gives you all the different times, kind of the similar type thing that I talked about just before, during the day, during at night, specific times, and so forth, which can be helpful, again, for not getting notifications all the time. And then people, when no one is home. And when someone is home, when I'm at home, when I am not home, you have all these different choices for multi-user home automation. Now, these choices generally only really show up in terms of once you add another person to it. When you have only one person, it's just going to give you the choices for basically when you're not at home or when you are at home, because it's assuming it's only you. When you add multiple people to your home app and do the sharing, then it allows for all these different options. So there's the answer. Yes, it does have it. And as you can see, I have it set when no one is home because I've been testing that multi-user feature with a friend of mine who's also into HomeKit, who lives a few miles away. So that is, I think, the exact answer you're looking for. It wasn't in iOS 10. It is in iOS 11. I can tell you that, well, I guess I can't tell you that it works, but I don't get the notifications when I'm physically here and the door opens and closes. I haven't gotten them when I'm not here, but that's honestly, I don't want to get them when I'm not here because it means that the door is staying closed as it should when I'm not actually here. So Rice or Rise, thank you so much for writing in. Okay, this is the little advertising segment. It's not advertising, it's talking about Patreon, talking about supporting the show. I know some of you will tune out, you'll fast forward. Please don't. Please actually listen to it or watch it. It's actually really important information. Obviously, there's a number of ways to support the show. I'll go into that here in a second. Patreon's the best way. It creates a monthly revenue stream for the show. It creates a way to actually have a reasonable budget. All of the other sources of income for Smarter Home Life kind of go up and down throughout the year. Buying habits, viewing habits on YouTube, advertising, spending, and so forth. But Patreon is a great way, and you get extra stuff when you support the show, whether it's being getting a shout out on the show, recognition on the website, or behind the scenes stuff, being able to interact with me directly through one of the monthly hangouts that are done live. There's just a ton of things that the Patreon members get that everyone else doesn't get. And sometimes it's a pre-release thing. Sometimes it's just cool stuff that the public will never see, and it'll only be available if you support it on Patreon. You can start at $1 a month. If everybody who watched the show, who watched this video or any of the videos, if everyone contributed $1 a month, like, it would be set. Like, I could spend all of my time. I could make this a full-time operation for just creating content for YouTube and for the website. I have been, like I said, making more content for the website because it's a little more time efficient than the videos. But let me get to your a few of the thank yous for people who have signed up recently. And my main words, my 2 words are thank you to everyone who has signed up and everyone who is supporting the show directly. You're literally saying, yeah, I think it's something that needs to keep going. I'm going to put, whether it's $1, $5, there are some of you who contribute $50 a month at the very top end. There's multiple levels. But people like, I think he's already been there. I think Adrian D has already been there, but it's hard to sort this based on actual, not when you, actually when you originally started. Adrian D and Jackie C, GFA Undead, I don't know what they are. Lauren P, Troy B, Richard D, Luis A, Alexander G, and Oren K. Many new names, many new people, and thank you for coming on board and believing in Smarter Home Life, believing in what I do. This is what I do. I don't want to say I don't do anything else, but it is smart home related, but everything I do is related to the smart home these days. And it's thanks to you. It's thanks to the community. It's thanks to me being able to make all of these videos and be recognized for what I do as an expert in this industry. But if there's ways that you want to support the show that don't involve additional donations or something, that's okay. Obviously, sharing it on social media, that's perfect. Talking about it with your friends, that happens a lot of times. I see the numbers and the shares and so forth, so it's fantastic. But you may be doing some shopping this holiday season. We're kind of really into the tech season at this point with all the announcements. Some of you might be waiting for Black Friday and so forth with the big deals. But anyways, if you're shopping, if you're thinking of doing some shopping and you want to help out Smarter Home Life, head to and bookmark smarterhomelife.com/support. There are a number of affiliate program links there, including Amazon and its international versions, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Just when you're ready to start doing your shopping, just click on one of those links. It'll land you on the website. It'll set the cookie, do your shopping, check out, and then most likely, because it's not always guaranteed, but most likely, highly likely, that Smarter Home Life will earn some kind of a small commission from that purchase, and they all add up. Thank you for everyone who continues to support the show, and if you do support the show in the future, thank you in advance. So let's move on to the next question and I'll get off my soapbox. Okay, so the next question is not HomeKit related. For those of you who are tired of hearing about HomeKit, it's Amazon Echo related from Matheson Steplock. Thank you for emailing in. I have an Echo and I would like to connect it to a whole home audio system. We are getting installed. Is it Sonos or something else? But then it would not be able to hear me because it can barely hear me now from upstairs and it might be in the basement. Is there any way to connect a mic to it, or is there another solution that I can connect additional mics to a PC running some kind of software? The answer, unfortunately, is no. The companies, whether it's Amazon with the Echo Dot or now Google with the more affordable Google Home Mini, that I don't have in my hand, they just want you to buy more of them. There is no way, unless you want to take the device apart, and I don't recommend that because you probably can't make it work anyway. I guess if you want to hack up a solution, please, more power to you, and let me know how it goes. But realistically, they want you to buy more devices. The microphone arrays that are in them are very specialized. They're designed to hear your voice throughout, not throughout your entire home, but at least reasonably distant in a room. So the other caveat there is with the announcement recently and finally that that Lady A Alexa support was coming and was enabled on the Sonos system, and Sonos actually came out with a dedicated speaker as well for that actually had built-in support and mics in it for Lady A, and for the Google Assistant coming next year, the Sonos One, I believe, which is $200, cheaper than a few other options that are out there. With that being said, if you're in the Sonos world, you may want to look at that possibility in terms of getting an Echo Dot or a few of them and making that work, because now it's an official integration. There's no kind of like weird way you have to do it. if you're not, many people who have gotten into whole home audio and used the Echo for it simply use the Echo Dot and use the line out, because then you can actually have the Echo do the voice recognition and then get high quality audio through your speaker system. But if you're doing whole home audio, you might be doing it with a specialized system. You might be doing recessed, kind of in ceiling or in wall speakers. I don't know what you have. After I responded to him, he didn't respond back. So depending on what that option is, your options may be either limited or wide open, but usually people have really used the Echo Dot to do their whole home audio. Now, if you're in the Google world, I'll say this in terms of other options. Google, of course, has the Chromecast and the Chromecast audio. No devices, let me make sure I'm saying this correctly. Google's devices do not have a line out, although the Google Home Max does have a line in. The Google Home Max is $400, like the most expensive of all of these connected speakers. It doesn't hit until December. The Google Home Mini is $50 and compares basically directly with the Echo Dot, except for having no line out functionality and a different way of doing Bluetooth streaming. But anyways, they're both very much the same. Apple, of course, has the HomePod, which is going to be $350. We haven't seen an additional event. I have a feeling they're just going to announce it with a press release and a video, which I think is kind of sad, but maybe they'll do something in November. We'll see. So otherwise, that's really the answer. In the old days, there was a company, and I mean really a long time ago, there was a company that was doing whole home audio via little mics that would actually look like light switches, and you could wire it all back and put it into a mixer and put that into your sound card, into your computer. Lots of work, but that was the old way of doing it. Now you just get a bunch of Echo Dots or Google Home Minis and do it that way. So that's the modern way. So to Matheson, thank you so much for your question, and I hope that answers it. And here's another question on Philips Hue, not HomeKit. So again, if you're not a fan of HomeKit, I won't mention it. From Dan Kinney. This was a long one. I'll try to paraphrase it, but it's a good one, and I'm going to reference my answer that I emailed him, and it's a good question. Hello, thanks for your videos, very informative. Thank you for watching, and I'm glad you find them informative. I like to make them and like to hope they help somebody. I'm new to the Hue lights. I have 3 BR30s on my front porch, a Hue bridge, and a Hue motion sensor. I would like to set a night porch light routine to have one or all of the porch lights come on around 8 p.m. in a dimmed brightness and turn off at 6 a.m. Then, of course, they'd stay off all day until 8 p.m. Makes sense, and that's something that you can accomplish. I'm 3 to 4 days in, and so far the routine, and he's specifically talking about the routine that he set up within the Philips Hue app itself. Because if you don't want to use a bunch of other systems, you can do all of your work through the official Philips Hue app for creating routines, timers and schedules and so forth. So I'm 3 to 4 days in, and the routine has never successfully completed both the on at night and off in the morning by itself. Do you find the Hue app to be reliable? In general, I will say yes. And it stores all of this information in the Hue bridge, so it doesn't mean that you have to have the actual app running. It actually pushes all that information to the bridge. It lives in there, and the bridge communicates outbound to the lights via Zigbee. So I think that's possibly just a little bit of a troubleshooting thing. Update the app, update the bridge, make sure that's all happy. Worst case scenario, do a full system reset, and if that doesn't solve it, contact Philips Hue, and I think that was what my directions were back to him. My real question, though, is I bought the Hue motion sensor hoping that I could configure it so that when someone approaches our porch, they would trigger the motion and brighten one or all 3 of the lights for 10 minutes, and then return it to a dimmed state for the remainder of the night, from the remainder of the porch light routine, or until the next motion sensor or the next motion event triggered the lights again. And that makes sense. And it is actually totally doable. It's a little bit of a hidden solution. The trouble is the Hue motion accessory setup, after the duration of the motion trigger is set, there are only 2 options. One is do nothing, and the other one is turn off, which again, Why, Philips? Which means that it either turns off completely or until the next motion is picked up. Any ideas, suggestions to get this to work? Thank you, Dan Kinney. So the answer is actually Hue Labs. So Philips Hue tends to be a little bit conservative. I actually think they're a lot conservative, and they could actually do much more with their lighting in a much more rapid rollout fashion, but they tend to be a little bit more conservative than other companies, such as something like LifeX, which rolls out updates and new flashy features all the time. So when Philips has rolled out some of these products, even though they're all controlled and updatable via software, they start with a very limited set of options. So here's my solution to this, and it's actually something, two different solutions that are already in the Philips Hue Labs. Hue Labs is something that's part of the Philips Hue ecosystem. It's kind of a play area, sandbox area, where Philips Hue works on new features. They release them sort of as beta projects. They're called formulas, they're part of Hue Labs, and you basically enable it in the website, and as long as you're tied in with your Philips Hue account to the bridge, you'll be able to set these up and install them onto the bridge, and they'll become available through the official Philips Hue app. So two different things. Let's see. In terms of the motion sensor challenge, there is a sunrise sunset schedule, which is called, and I believe it's actually literally just called sunrise sunset, and this will enable the functionality that he was asking for in terms of not needing it to be specifically timed. And so which was part of which was actually part of his question. And then the other piece of this is a no motion, no fuss formula. And what that does is it enables exactly what he wants, where instead of the turn off or do nothing after a motion event, they will actually the lights can actually resume where they were after the motion has expired, because you set a time limit, motion happens, it does something, and then a timeout happens, 5-10 minutes or so forth, and that's when it's basically saying the traditional Hue app is saying either your options are turn off after the motion has stopped and the timeout has expired, or do nothing or turn off. Those are the two options. With this, you get the option to say put it back to where it was before the motion was triggered, before the motion event was triggered. So this is something that hopefully it's been about a year since they introduced the Philips Hue motion sensor. I would hope that these are so helpful to people that they would actually take this technology and roll it into an updated version of the app coming soon. No news on when they will actually do this, but the Hue Labs area is definitely something, and they have about, I want to say about 15, maybe 18 total formulas, and some of them are just general formulas. They don't require any specific devices. Obviously, one of these specifically does require the Hue motion sensor. Some of them give you additional functionality for the Hue tap and for the Hue dimmer, and just enable additional cool stuff that you can do that isn't possible with the default setup, with the default options that are available in the Hue app. So again, these kind of going back to the first question of the show, or one of the first questions about should I have Hue lights on another hub or should I leave them on the Hue bridge? This is functionality that you get that you may not get with other platforms if you take Hue lights and put them on another platform directly without having them on the actual Hue bridge. So let me get back to the name. So I got two. So Dan Kinney, that's the long-winded answer, and I did get back to you via email with that, so I hope that really did solve your problem. So again, if you'd like to get a hold of me specifically for just basic questions, or you'd like to get some of my consulting time over a video chat, questions at smarterhomelife.com is the best way to do that. And as I mentioned kind of in the middle of the show, if you'd like to support the show through Patreon or other means, you can learn all about that at smarterhomelife.com/support. At this point, we are not looking, it doesn't appear anything else that is enormous in terms of a tech announcement that's coming out. There were, near the end of September, there were a lot of announcements from August and Nest and Amazon and Google and so forth. We're looking like that's kind of starting to dry up here over the next couple of weeks. I think they kind of overloaded everyone, and I think everyone is kind of overwhelmed at this point. There are so many products on the market that are similar from so many different companies. Or there was another one, was a Ring. It's overload. It's smart home overload at this point. So as always, I will try to make sense of it for you and put content out there that helps you to make sense of all of this stuff. So otherwise, I'm Joe Deganzik. Thanks for watching. Make your home a little bit smarter every single day. And I'll see you next time right here on Smarter Home Life.